In the farthest reaches of the galaxy, among the broken remnants of a once thriving civilization, there stood a fortress-like station orbiting a dying star. The station, named Vexor 9, was a place of exile for those who had been cast out, not by their own choosing, but because the universe had become a place of ruthless survival. War had ravaged countless species, and in the endless chaos, few had remained unscathed. Shara was one of them. She was an exile, one of the last survivors of the Ixodari people, a species known for their intelligence, strength, and brutal efficiency in battle. Yet, none of that mattered now. Her people had fallen. Ixodari were reduced to nothing but whispers in the void of space, their once proud civilization decimated by a coalition of merciless enemies. She had been taken prisoner by the Jorlan Empire, a ruthless race bent on conquering every corner of the galaxy. They were known for their cruelty and their complete disregard for life, except their own. Shara had fought for as long as she could. Her last battle, though, had been her final one. The Ixodari were outnumbered, their weapons less effective, and their morale broken. And now, in the cold silence of Vexor 9, Shara could only remember the day her people were wiped out, her home turned to ash, and the vibrant world she once knew reduced to nothing. She had nothing left. Hope had become a stranger. The Jorlan kept her in a cell, isolated and abandoned. They spoke of nothing but her eventual execution. Her captors have long since ceased any pretense of kindness, and the days blurred into one long, torturous stretch. She couldn't remember the last time she had seen another soul, or even felt the warmth of companionship. The thought of escape seemed futile. They will come for me when it's time, she thought, and when they do, I will be no more. But then something changed. It was an ordinary evening, or what passed for evening on Vexor 9, when a dull tremor shook the station. Shara stood up, her pulse quickening. She had been here long enough to know that tremors usually meant something significant. The sound of distant explosions and echoing blasts reverberated through the station's metal walls, followed by a sudden and eerie silence. Footsteps. At first, she thought it was just another Jorlan guard coming to torment her with fresh cruelties. But the pace was wrong. Too fast, too reckless, too human. Human. She hadn't seen a human in years. In the wake of the Galactic War, they had retreated into their own territories, distant and untouchable. The Jorlan Empire had wiped out most of humanity's colonies during their campaign, and yet the thought of one here, in this forsaken place, was unimaginable. The door to her cell hissed open, revealing a figure clad in rugged armor with the distinct insignia of the United Earth Federation on its shoulder plate. He was tall, broad-shouldered, and his eyes, hard as steel, held an intensity that immediately commanded her attention. "You're coming with me," the human said gruffly, his voice cold, but there was a hint of resolve in it, like he had come to rescue her, not because he had to, but because he wanted to. Shara couldn't believe her ears. For a moment, she thought she was dreaming, or worse, hallucinating. But then, the human extended a hand, the gesture simple, but full of meaning. "Don't just stand there. We're getting you out of here." Shara hesitated. She was used to betrayal. She was used to pain. The galaxy had shown her nothing but horror. And yet, this human, this stranger, was offering her a chance at something more than just survival. The sound of more Jorlan boots echoed down the corridor. Her moment was slipping away. I don't even know your name," she whispered, struggling to make sense of this unexpected encounter. "Doesn't matter. I'm human," he replied, his tone unwavering. Human. The word resonated in her mind. Humanity. A species that had endured countless horrors, fought to survive in a galaxy that sought to erase them, and yet, despite it all, they had survived. They had kept fighting. Even when all seemed lost, they never gave up. They had that spark of life, that fire to keep going. Hope, something that had long since vanished from her own heart, flared in hers once again. The human didn't wait for her reply. He grabbed her arm, pulling her toward the corridor. She didn't resist. Maybe, just maybe, this was her chance. The halls of Vexor 9 were dark, lit only by the flickering emergency lights. Alarms blared as the human guided her through the maze-like corridors. They passed locked doors, guards that were either dead or too distracted to notice them. Jera's mind raced. How was this possible? How had he found her? What did he want from her? But the answers would have to wait. As they reached the hangar bay, the sound of blaster fire erupted. Jorlan soldiers came pouring in from every direction. Jera instinctively reached for a weapon, but the human was faster. He pulled a blaster from his belt and, with deadly precision, took out the first few soldiers with quick headshots. Jera stared in awe. There was no hesitation, no mercy, just pure, brutal efficiency. "Keep moving," the human barked, taking cover behind a crate as more Jorlan closed in on their position. Jera, snapping out of her daze, followed him, staying low. Her heart pounded, and for the first time in what felt like an eternity, she felt the rush of adrenaline course through her veins. They reached a small shuttle, already prepped for takeoff. The human activated the engines, and the small craft hummed to life. As the doors closed, sealing them in, Jera couldn't help but ask, "Why? Why are you doing this?" The human's gaze softened just for a moment. "Because you're human too, and we don't leave our own behind." Jera had given up on hope long ago, but now, in the hands of this human, it was a spark that threatened to set her soul on fire. She had been saved, not by the power of technology, not by weapons or military strength, but by something far more powerful, the enduring will of humanity. And as the shuttle rocketed away from Vexor 9, Jera realized one undeniable truth. She was no longer alone. There were still humans left, and as long as they fought, there was still hope.